is Christian. I'm a lecturer here on the illustration course, mainly teaching to second year, but I'm here to tell you about the course. This is April.
Yeah, I'm
She's,
April.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm April. I'm on the illustration year 3. So if you guys have any questions to me at any point or at the end, then I'm all ears.
Okay, so let's get started. So yeah, this is the building we're in. This is kind of some of the recognition the university has received. Most recently, award for University of the Year. We also have like teaching excellent framework rating of triple gold, which is kind of the most, sort of the highest you can attain as a university in terms of the excellence and of the teaching. But what's really important for us is also like the student experience, and what we really measure the quality of our course against is the outcomes that our students get when they leave here and their experience. But it's also always good with some recognition from other sort of parts of the sort of university sector. So in this talk, I'm going to talk about 3 things. I'm going to talk about the course and its structure. I'm going to take you through all 3 years, what you could expect, but of course emphasizing first year the most, because that's probably, if you do decide to come here and study with us, that's probably what you are thinking about at the moment. I'll talk about learning illustration at Norwich University, so our approach to teaching illustration on the course. And then, like I said right off the top, like we really measure ourselves against the experience of our students and like what they go on to achieve afterwards. So I will see if I can't make it fairly quickly through the first batch of slides, so I can show you some of that at the tail end of it and don't have to rush through that. But throughout the talk, you will see a lot of illustration work, and a lot of that outside of the stuff that I'll be mentioning about like the vision lectures we're getting. A lot of the work you'll see in this presentation is work that our students have created, including this, which is one of our graduates called Adam Avery. He's like a freelance illustrator now, and his clients include Google, The Atlantic, The Guardian, Soho House, and so on. And here's just like a little sort of testimony that he sort of provided about his time here, where he's talking about receiving the support, having the facilities to hone his practice, and also like input from lecturers in terms of like actualizing his career in the industry. Here's some of his work. There's also a different option. So some of us, the students come to us, they don't really feel ready or equipped to go into the undergraduate course straight away. So this is just to mention that there are other options. So we have like what you can kind of call a foundation year, I guess, the year 0, where you can specialize and hone your skills in illustration if you're not, if you at this stage don't quite feel confident.
I think it also lets you try like the different sectors as well, not just illustration, so like graphic design.
Yeah, so well. You see graphic comms, fashion, communication, and promotion, and user experience design and so on.
It really lets you kind of just like dabble and get your feet in.
Yeah. Yeah. But on to talking a little bit about how we approach teaching in the course. What we do is what you call holistic delivery. So it means that we're trying to touch on as many sort of aspects of the illustration field, but also as many aspects as we can of what a career might look like, or the skills and knowledge a student might need to equip them, regardless of what part of the illustration industry they want to pursue a career in. The illustration field is quite broad. It's everything from animation, art direction, publishing. Yeah, it's a quite vast field. So that's why we have this holistic approach that tries to touch on many aspects of the industry. We try to create a really supportive study environment for our students. So if anybody is going on the tour, you'll see our great facilities, 3 big studio spaces. I think.
Yeah, we'll be able to show you everything. There's with more slides coming up, talking about specific about our facilities that I'll get to show you guys and some of our other ambassadors as well. So that's That's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, we have an approach that's sort of referred to as research informed. So what that basically means that some of us are researchers. So myself, I'm pursuing a PhD in a practice-based PhD, but it also means that we are getting a lot of like input from outside, from industry, and from other sort of illustration researchers and practitioners. And most of us are practitioners ourselves. So I have a graphic novel practice alongside teaching here, and so does many of my colleagues. Not specifically a graphic novel practice, but freelance illustration, animation.
Yeah. So we've got Adam that works in everything from advertising, just everything. And so I always find it really beneficial coming into this, knowing when you're getting information from your tutors, it is very much relevant. They know what you're on about, and it's reassuring to know you're kind of getting the most up-to-date information and support from the active field.
Yeah, and that touches on the last few points, right? Links to industry, professional relevance. Like us being practitioners allows us to keep on top of what's happening in industry and convey that to our students. This is Jill. She's our course leader. And again, she has a practice of her own. If you have any questions regarding the course, you can contact the illustration course, and you can contact her directly on that email. She has a background in narrative, illustration, editorial, illustration, and publishing. But she's also herself a researcher pursuing a PhD in illustration at Manchester Metropolitan University. So if you do decide and come and study with us, these are some of our first-year lecturers. So from the left to the right, that's Nigel, very good colleague of mine. He's also the unit leader for year one. B. Wiley is a part-time lecturer. Katie, newest addition to the team, who's also a part-time lecturer. And Adam Larkham, that April just mentioned a moment ago, who's working his work in advertising. And so if you go to M&S, or I think it's M&S right now.
It's M&S is in Gerald's and John Lewis as well.
Yeah, so he just has a new range of cards out. So if you go to any of those spaces, you'll see his work on display. These are some of their practices, just to give you a sense of that, what they do outside of their teaching practice.
Adam also has done stuff for Osborne, so if anyone knows about the Osborne books, he's done a lot of stuff for the Osborne books.
So there's a few different approaches that goes into teaching illustration, at least here at Norwich, and it's project-based learning, so sort of to prepare these future illustrators, to prepare the illustration students for a career in practice. We do project-based learning, so it means we set briefs to the students as very much as you would expect in industry. There's a mix of studio and online teaching. I would say studio is actually the kind of teaching to do most of here, again, because we have the facilities, and very good facilities, as you'll see. There's group teaching and individual tutorials, so both this idea of working as teams, but also getting that tuition directly from your tutors. It's a quite big course, so it's like 80 to 90 usually per year group. So we put a lot of emphasis on how we can get the most face-to-face contact, and as lecturers, how we could get to know the students and then could get to know us individually. So a lot of our delivery is structured around that. There's academic and technical workshops. So academic workshops would be with teaching staff. Technical workshops would be with one of our many, workshop teams, or visiting lecturers. Online communication happens through email, on the virtual learning environment, through Teams, Padlet, and Mirrorboard. So all these platforms that you might already be familiar with or will be familiar with if you join. There's excursions and visits planned in, and like I said, there's guest and staff lectures. Yeah.
What I also think is really good about the course structure as well is the way it's all laid out. The processors use the individual and group tutorials, and using the online services and everything else like that, it's really starting to help you get used to how professional practice is, because all those things in some way, shape or form are going to lead into, especially like group tours and teaching, like in your professional practice, you are going to have your clients coming and reviewing your work, and you might not like what they hear sometimes, and so it's really it's really good to get to grips with that.
Yeah, I think that's where this idea of like supporting studio culture comes in. Like, you know, a big part of being a creative practitioner, you might going into the course, an illustration have been something you're passionate about, and it's been maybe sort of something you're pursuing alongside your studies, maybe as part of your studies. But there's kind of this idea that you need to detach yourself a little bit from your work, not take critique personally. That's part of professional practice, right? But like we support that through our supportive studio culture, and we're easing students into that experience. Facilities. Yeah, here's some of the two newest facilities. So a creative technology lab and bank plane. So that's been online for 2 years now, these two spaces. But on the right-hand side, you can see all the kind of different sort of resources and facilities that a student at Norwich get access to as part of their studies here.
Yes, and you get to see a bunch of like where these facilities are when you go around campus tours after this talk as well.
And again, you can see there's at the bottom there with the business employability stuff, there is like an ongoing emphasis on professional development, professional skills. But there's also, you know, those technical skills, software skills that you will need as an illustrator. You can see that at the top in terms of After Effects, InDesign, these software packages that are quite essential to illustration practice. The middle there's like a wide range of technical resources that you might not directly associate with illustration practice. Illustration students have access to them, and we plan you know, workshops in that allows you to touch on these other, you know, ways of working creatively as a way of maybe sort of expanding your practice and sort of creating that unique profile for yourself that's really got to set you out as an illustrator when you go into the wild.
Yeah. I always like to think is if when you're coming into illustration you think, am I going to be forced just to do like, you know, pen on paper? No, that idea is soon going to be like exploded. There's so many things to do. If you want to go off and do animation, if you want to go and do like some 3D design and then do photography of it, like any idea that you have, take it to your tutors. They will find any way that we can to explore your ideas. So.
Yeah. The next 5 or so slides, I'm just going to go through a little bit quickly because I'm a little time conscious here. Like I said at the top, we have 54 slides. I'm slide 13 here, so just going to rush through those a little bit. That was all about our visiting lecturers, just to get a sense of like the variety of people who visit us here. Kluger, like there's a diverse range of practices here, right? Not going to dwell too much on that. Mikkel Sommer visited us with us recently, graphic novelist, animator, illustrator, does a lot of work for Netflix. He came and sort of shared his perspective on illustration with our students. International guest speakers, we had Art Studio Agravka, who's like a Ukrainian picture book illustration studio. They talked about their work, also in relation to the ongoing situation in Ukraine at the moment and how they're navigating that as a creative practice. Many, many more. Students here get a lot of input from external. You had input from Charles, the printmaker. He came in and did like a workshop with you the other day.
Recently, which was really, really amazing. Like, I just love the opportunity you get. So many practitioners come in, you get to learn so many things. It's like, take advantage of it. I also love when we get past students in. So, for example, like Tom Abbas Smith, you should see some of his work later. It's as a student, I find it really reassuring because obviously you know that like everyone goes somewhere, but to know that like, hey, these people graduated here and they're doing well, and like it's like, wow, I can do this. So yeah.
Yeah, and also there's a diverse range of practices sort of represented here as well. Industry bodies, agencies, you know, speakers like the curators and the sort of illustration curators at the Quentin Blake Center for Illustration, Arena Illustration, who's like a professional agency who takes illustrators on and provide work for them, which is a very normal way for freelancers to work. the Association of Illustrators, a sort of industry body that looks after the interest of illustrators. They all come mainly in the final year, right? So you probably have contact with some of those quite recently. The course is a member of the Association of Illustrators, so we have privileged access to their services, and so does our students. On to just speaking a little bit about the first year, what you might expect. So the course is structured in a way that you have 2 units in each year, so 6 units in total if you do not go and take a sandwich year, which is also a possibility. I'll talk about that a little bit later. 2 units, creative learning, explore and experiment. It's about starting with the fundamentals of illustration practice. What do we expect of our prospective students? What do we expect of our new students? What do we expect of our first years? We ask you to be adventurous, to explore. Some of the very first things you'll do, you'll get an opportunity to visit some of the very beautiful places around here in Norfolk and go to those places, get familiar with the area, but also, go there to be observant and start to capture information about these places and work on your observational drawing skills. We encourage our students to be curious, seek out a lot of different references, a lot of different resources, a lot of different ways of doing illustration. As you position yourself as an illustrator and start to think about what kind of illustrator am I? What is my kind of path into practice? What is my path into a professional career? And part of that is gathering references, both to progress your practice, but also, as I said again, position yourself as an illustrator. And I'm sure that you've been doing a lot of that work yourself,
yes.
April, over the course of the course, now that you're in final year. And then use all those sources to start to inform and transform your practice. This is an example of what we call a supporting document, which is kind of a research document.
It's all about your research, kind of your analysis, your development, where you're going, and these significant points. And research is not just artist research; it's your experimentation within your own practice. So, did you try this new material? How did that work out? All those kind of things.
Yeah, and this is John Taylor's project about his memories from Overstrand from his trip there. So you can see how some of those things are starting to play into his practice very early on in the first unit. Yeah, be playful, especially in the first year. It's a pass or fail unit. We give students the maximum opportunity to as they say, fail often, fail quickly, in order to get to start to be really bold with their practice, to take risks within their practice. The first year in particular is set up for that. This is kind of a drawing machine that one of our students created as part of their first project, with this little robotic bug that would help them in their drawing practice. A little illustration friend, you might say. The second unit is a collaborative unit, where students in the second unit at the first year already are starting to work with external partners. So this is a project where students worked with Sweetbriar Marshes. So that's a local charity that are restoring a part of the, some of the marshes here in this area to be a recreative space, but also a sanctuary for animals. So this was their work, going in and working with that organization as part of smaller groups this is a slightly different project where they worked with different other charities around, raising awareness about International Women's Day, World Humanitarian Day, Anti-Bullying Week, and so on and so forth.
I ended up working with lots of kind of organisations in year one, and I found it really beneficial, because it gives you your first taste with working with outside practice and what it's like to have briefs and do work for other people. And I think that's something that's really nice about how this course is structured.
Yeah, but again, careers and employability continues to be, from the very get-go, a really important part of what we do. And in the first year, like there's kind of careers and employability delivery by our careers and employability team. But as you've seen, that it's also built into the curriculum in terms of these collaborations with external partners. Second year, 2 units again, global context and collaboration. Again, building, as you can see, very nicely on what students experienced in the first year. So this is, what I like to talk about. I'll try to be brief because this is, where my heart is as a second-year illustration lecturer. But again, in the first unit, very much building on that last unit in the first year, a lot of live projects. So this is a project that was run by one of my colleagues who himself is a freelance illustrator. He's kind of housed, or he works with an agency. That's how he gets his work. So this is a project that was run by his agency for our students about doing these. The agency is called Dutch Uncle. And this was this kind of project to do these supersized posters as part of a collaborative project. This is my colleague Alice over here, and this is a collaborative project that she's run in a couple of years with the Quadram Institute. So they are based in the research park at the University of East Anglia, also here in Norwich. So Alice took her students there, they engaged with the researchers there, and a big part of their project was to interact with those researchers and work with their research in order to communicate it. You can see like very creative and diverse approaches here. Erin Focko did like a costume, very apt for like Halloween, but it did a costume where you could dress up as like a gut bacteria, like a
Microbiome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which one did you do? Did you do Alice's project?
I did. It was the Copenhagen project. So.
You did the one with me. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Basically, it was the Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies. So they write articles all about future studies and where everything's going. So doing artwork to go alongside that. So it's so interesting. There's so many different ways and so many different projects. There's a bit kind of for everyone. I love that.
Yeah, so you choose, and the second year, you choose between 4 projects, each formulated by one of the tutors, and you can choose one of those projects depending on your interests. And these are some of the collaborators we've been working with on the second year. Holocaust Center North, It's Freezing in LA, which is an independent climate magazine. Like April was saying, Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies, who's like a think tank. Who does consultancy. It's also an NGO, so it's not for profit. Sainsbury Center, which is like the big international art institution we have locally, also based in UED as well. Norfolk Museum Services, Quadram Institute, John Innes Center, Broads Authority, and also East Anglia's, University of East Anglia's their anthropology department. And the list is still growing, so we're still like pursuing new collaborations with new partners. So at the end of second year, you have a choice as a student here. You can either go straight into final year, or you can choose to go and pursue what's called a level 5 diploma. And a level 5 diploma allows you to specialize either in your own creative professional development, which is like you work alongside the institution to secure professional internships or placements, and then you write a report around that. Or if you want to upskill in terms of new technology, you can also go and choose to do a creative computing diploma that then will sit with so when you graduate, you get BA honors illustration with creative computing, for instance. And here you learn a range of like emerging technologies, including like 3D scanning, augmented reality, virtual reality, algorithmic art, and so on. Get a wider idea of like what a career might look like for an illustrator that's upskilled in technology a little bit more. Yeah, and you have sort of so then in final year you join final year again. So a year after the rest of your cohort has graduated.
But we have people who have done this previously because it's been running for a couple of years. We've had people who've done it previous year who've joined us, and like I know like the amount of like wealth of knowledge that they've gained and coming into that is brilliant, and it's always really nice to see new faces. Like, oh.
Also great. It's great, like for the rest of the cohort, that people are coming in with brand new skill sets.
Exactly.
Right?
They can bring and partake that, and we can share things back and forth, and so it's always really helpful.
Yeah. So final year, again 2 units, research and preparation. So preparation in the terms of like now you're on the cusp of going into industry, right? Like what, again, emphasizing what does your path into industry look like? But also emphasis on research. Again, if you find out that you want to pursue postgraduate teaching, like postgraduate training as a master's, doing a master's either here or elsewhere. That's the focus of that shorter unit, which April is doing right at this minute, yes. Basically.
My deadline is in 2 weeks.
Deadline 2 weeks. So we're very lucky to have her here with us because she has a looming deadline, right? So yeah.
It's fun. I promise you, it's fun. The stress is worth it.
And the second and last unit is a long project. It's a project that you formulate yourself as a student. At this stage, you are well equipped to write your own briefs that really fits your practice. So your final project really becomes a statement about who you are as an illustrator. And then there's always, as always, a career development component built in there. Yeah. So this is again one of our graduating students from a few years back, and this is what it might look like, right? That you pursue your own project. So Ellen here chose to sort of build her own project about around the competition that Penguin and Random House run every year, where they they ask for people to submit their ideas for book cover designs, for instance. She won that. And giving her the best possible opportunity to sort of build her portfolio once she'd graduated. She had this in her portfolio going into industry. Charlotte Chester here worked with the Barbican as like a space and that kind of thing as part of her sort of final project. But again, there's many opportunities for almost done, or quite. There's many opportunities to showcase work. So, for instance, we have the Grad Fest, which is like here on campus, an exhibition that's run at the end of the final year, but also an online expo of things. And here's again Erin Foggo, who goes under the sort of name as well, Nancy Abstract, and some of the stuff that she did for the Grad Fest stuff. Yeah, just time conscious. I have a few moments back, so yeah. Dottie Hall, who also came back and visited with us and talked about her practice, but built an online business for herself. Sophie here submitted work to a children's picture book competition. I think she didn't win, but what happened on the back of it is that she got an internship with them. Again, another student who submitted work that she'd done as part of her graduate of a final major project for the Camelite Children's Picture Book Award and won a few years back. Just some more examples of her work here. Lisa Taylor, Macmillan Children's Book Illustration Prize. I'm showing a lot of children's book illustration here, but I think that's just like,
There's a lot of people that like going down that that narrative.
Yeah, but there's like a wide diversity of things we could have shown here, but this is some of her work again. Yeah, just some students that have gone on to become shortlisted, win the Designers and Art Directors Pencil, and so on. Sophie Kent there, her work. Sophie Kane, who won the Royal Society of Artists, their Student Design Award back in 2019. More recently, Olivia Heseltine, who won, again, the Royal Society of Artists Student Awards in the moving picture category, so with an animation that she submitted. yeah, and just so many examples of students that have gone on to do really exciting and interesting work after graduating here, and have come back to visit us to talk about that work as well. Yeah. This is just some of the achievements of our students. Most recently shortlisted for the Penguin book cover competition and highly commended at the New Designers in London by Disney and Hallmark for their work. That was Jazz Jenkins. And this is just like some of the things that our students have gone on to do after university as well, the different organizations that they're now working for. And this is Sophie's submission for the, yeah, she's one of, she's in her final year now, so she actually got shortlisted in her second year, not her final year. Yeah. Yeah, and these are some of our recent graduates, so look out for them, look out for their work. As they sort of, some of these have gone on to further education. So for instance, Nicole down here is currently doing a degree at the RCA. Andrea up here is working with D&AD as an illustrator for them. Ella Field has gone on to do work for the Natural History Museum, and so on, yeah. And that's it. Thank you for your time.